Welcome to the chaotic readathon. I hope you... Hello my loves and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and today we are doing my Tackle Your TBR readathon. So this is technically a 24-hour readathon that I host bi-monthly. This time it's a bit different because I had planned to start this tomorrow. I'd put aside that day for me to read all day. However, things happen. Life has happened. So instead I'm going to start it this afternoon. It is 1:45 and this is going to run until Saturday evening. So it's going to be slightly longer than 24 hours, but what I'm going to try and do is see in that time how long I can read for, whether it actually amounts to 24 hours. I think that's going to be really interesting. And also because I have my sister coming over tomorrow afternoon, I know I'm not going to read much during that time, so it means that I can get more use out of this time now. We can see if I get anything else read in the evening and just see how much ends up being read. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. Basically, I'm going to be starting the readathon today. I'm going to be doing a timer, but this time I'm only timing when I'm actually reading, and then I'm going to stop the clock when I'm not reading, and hopefully somehow we can get 24 hours worth of reading in. I don't think it's actually going to happen. I think we're going to fail on that front, but hopefully even if we can get like 12, maybe 16 hours in, I would be really happy with that. But let's go with the TBR. The 4 prompts never change. I will have the announcement video linked below if you're interested, but they don't change anymore. It's just a set bi-monthly readathon that I like to do to tackle my ridiculously huge TBR. The first one is reading a book off my TBR, and that is Agatha Christie's Sinister Spring. This is a short story collection of her different murder mystery stories that are going on. I don't know whether I'm going to get all of this read, but at least a couple of these short stories read would be good. Then to continue a series. This is the prompt that I'm actually going to have to swap out. So continuing a series, I did really want to read Aurora Burning by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in the Aurora Cycle series. It's a YA sci-fi. I don't think I'm going to get this read in this time frame, and instead I'm actually going to swap the prompt out slightly. And this is what I say when I do the announcement videos, that if you don't have a series you're in the middle of, then you could choose a book that you're in the middle of. And I am currently in the middle of reading Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is a reread. I started it in the weekly vlog, which will probably be out for this video, but I'm halfway through and I really want to finish it this weekend. And out of the two, between finishing a book or maybe getting a little bit way through a book, I'm choosing to finish a book. So I'm swapping it out slightly and going with finish my reread. This is basically X-Men. Think X-Men. I will talk about it more once I actually start reading it and finish it, but I'm halfway through at the minute. We're up to page 149, so I really want to get that one finished. Swapping out continue a series for continue a book that I'm reading. We then have a book I keep putting off, and I've gone with a contemporary, which is Solo Dance by Lee Kotomi. This was translated from Japanese. Let me close the window. It's not going to help much. Once the dogs get going, there's not much that's going to stop them. But yes, this was translated from Japanese by Arthur Reggie Morris, and this is looking at what it is to be a queer person living in Tokyo that's originally from Taiwan. This is a book that I've been meaning to read for ages, always put off. It's about time I actually read it. It's actually quite a short book. It's only just over 200 pages, about 240-ish. So I feel like this is going to be a good one to just get through. This is the goal. Out of all of them, my goal this 24-hour readathon is to read Solo Dance and finish Vicious. Those are the two that I really want to get done. So if I can get that done at the very least, I will be happy. But we do have one more prompt, and that's to read the shortest book on my TBR, and I'm going to go with a book from the Angelina Ballerina collection. My mum got me this one. I used to love Angelina Ballerina growing up, and I am very excited to read and go back to my childhood for one of these. Reading this is not going to take long at all. I probably will only read one out of the collection, starting off with Angelina Ballerina at Ballet School, which is the first one in the collection. Or no, it's not. Or is it Meet Angelina Ballerina? I think it's Meet Angelina Ballerina. Why is it all the way at the end? That makes no sense. Anyway, I'm going to be reading a short book from this collection. So this is what I'm going to be planning to read for this readathon, starting off with reading outside with a spot of lunch and trying to get the dogs to stop barking. Welcome to the chaotic readathon. I hope you enjoy. Let me know if you're taking part. I do have updates that will be live updates in my Discord channel, so I'll have that linked below as well if you ever want to take part in future. But it is all about just relaxing, reading, and getting some books off your TBR. That's all it is. So yeah, let's see how this works. afternoon. It's now, what's the time? 4:10. According to my stopwatch, I have been reading for an hour and 40 minutes and I've made quite good progress. I'm quite pleased with what I read. So I started off outside in the garden, although I really didn't sit out there for long. The sun was so strong that even with my sun cream, I was feeling like I was starting to burn. I need to get better sun cream. This is the backup sun cream I use because I've run through all my supplies, so I need to get some more. That's not the point. That's not what you're here for. I read the first short story from Sinister Spring, and this one was The Market Basin Mystery, and it was a Hercule Poirot mystery. I liked it enough. It was only 13 pages long, so it wasn't much. It was like a nice little snippet. I think this kind of collection gives you an idea of how Agatha Christie kind of comes up with her ideas, different little mysteries that can be potentially fleshed out into bigger stories, and the ones that don't work leave as short stories, or at least that's my take on this. And I liked it. It actually reminded me of The Mystery of the Yellow Room by Gaston Leroux. If I've got the author's name wrong, I'll put it up here. But the same author that wrote Phantom of the Opera also did a murder mystery locked room story, which inspired Agatha Christie, and I could really see that in this short story. It was good. I liked the writing. It was nice to read a little bit. I haven't read any more. I might read another short one going in. It's definitely a book that I kind of want to go in and out of, so whether I'll get it read throughout this readathon, I don't think I would, to be fair, but at least a couple of them I would be very happy with, and then I can continue it the rest of the month. Apart from that one short story though, I have mainly focused on Vicious, so I'm now up to page 235, so I've read almost 100 pages of this and I'm really enjoying it. I find this really good. So I have spoken about this in my weekly vlog, but I'm just going to give a quick recap here so that you know what's happening in this book. But we're following Victor. We actually have 3 main perspectives in this book, but you start off following Victor. He goes to this university, Yale University, with his friend Eli, and they are setting about to do their thesis. They're in their final year, I think, and Eli's thesis is around extraordinaries, and they are people who have extra gifts. It's kind of questioned as to whether they're really real or not, but his thesis is going about to prove that they are real. And Victor is someone that is insanely jealous and equally obsessed with Eli, and decides to push him further into creating an extraordinary person. So if you think about it from those point of views, you can see the influence of Frankenstein in here. It's definitely something that I've been tabbing. I haven't been tabbing as much in this last section because we then move on to the second perspective, which is Sydney, and Sydney is someone that is an extraordinary with a very unique gift, and how she gets tangled up with Victor and Eli. So you learn about her history, also the present day, because this has 2 timelines. You have the past timeline and the present timeline. It all focuses around the main character that you're following. So the first bit, you get the past timeline of Victor going to university, then present day Victor, and then you get the timeline of Sydney, present day Sydney being with Victor, and then past timeline Sydney. And now we've moved on to Eli being our main character and seeing it from his perspective when he was doing things with Victor, why he's chosen to act the way he is. I don't want to give away spoilers and stuff for the book, but it's really good. It is extremely morally grey, and there is nobody that's good in this book. Like there really isn't. So it's a darker book to read, but I really am enjoying it. But I haven't tabbed as much, I think, because I started out with orange tabs, which was Victor being obsessed / jealous of Eli, and so because we haven't had his perspective, I haven't really used those tabs since. I do have a lighter blue grey colour, which is just for quotes I love, which is just every so often as they come up, so I have still used that. The other 2 tabs, there hasn't been quite as much, and there has been moments with Eli where he is so deluded in a way, where he's using God and his belief in religion to sanctify the reasons why he's doing what he's doing. So I feel like that should be a tab, but I don't know whether to put in one and just have it as a different colour because it's now in the latter half and we're seeing Eli's perspective, or whether I don't do that. Like, I can't decide. I'm not normally, when it comes to tabbing books, I normally have an idea of the sort of tabs I want to use, and if there's a recurring theme that keeps cropping up that I want to track, then I'll add those in. But because this has so many different perspectives, it's really hard to decide what to put in. But I might do one for Eli's faith, because there are a couple of mentions at the start, and then obviously a lot more now that we're seeing it from his perspective and how he's justifying himself. So I might do faith / justification. I don't know. We'll see. I can't decide, or whether to just leave it and just leave it as the second half of the book just doesn't get tabbed as much. I don't know. But that's where I'm up to. I do need to take a quick break, run out to the shops, get some food shopping done. I would have done it earlier, but I didn't want to be carrying shopping back in the heat, so now it's cooled off a little bit. I'm going to run out and do that, and then we'll get back to reading. I'm thinking I might break this up either with a short story of Sinister Spring, maybe, or I mean all the other books that I've already mentioned. So I'm thinking I might break it up and then come back to this one. I mean, I could easily binge it all and just finish it all out because it's so easily readable, because the chapters are so short. Like, some of the chapters are literally 2 pages long. But yeah, I've got to decide about the tabbing system, and also just I think to give myself time to think about what I want to do with the tabs, then I'm gonna leave this one a little bit and come back to it maybe this evening, maybe after dinner. Go from there. I will catch up with you soon. Considering that I started this 2.5 hours ago and I've read for 1 hour and 40 minutes in that time, which isn't bad. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling and get on with doing stuff, and then we'll get back to reading and catch up with you once I've read a little bit more. Good evening. I have now eaten, and according to the timer, I have read for 2 hours and 44 minutes now. Since I got back from food shopping, I have picked up 2 books. So the first one was Meet Angelina, Ballerina. This is by Catherine Hollibird and Helen Craig. And honestly, this was a very short book, very quick read. The illustrations in it are absolutely stunning. I love the artwork in here. And it was just a really cute story, meeting Angelina, Ballerina, a little mouse that loves to dance. And we're in Cheddar Vale, and we're meeting all of her friends and the people that live there. It was really, really cute. I may read more out of that collection. We'll see how it goes, but I was really pleased just to get one of those books read. It was a really good time. And then I've made some progress with Solo Dance. I'm now up to chapter 10, page 99, and this is a really quick read. The way it's formatted, the writing, I'm flying through it. This is a contemporary book looking at our main character who, as I said at the start of this video, she is queer, living in Tokyo. She's moved from Taiwan, and we have kind of like a dual timeline. So we have present day timeline where you're seeing her with her work friends, and she's having to navigate the realities of being 27 years old, working full time and trying to fit in seeing friends, and how to manage all of that, especially in Tokyo, where it's spoken about in the book how they're not very accepting of anyone on the LGBTQ plus IA spectrum. So you're seeing that, how she tries to navigate her life. And then you have the flashbacks to when she was younger, and you're seeing that as she grows up, first realizing how she is interested in girls. She's not interested in guys, and even reading the fairy tales that she was given as a child to read, she would never understand why the prince and the princess always got together. And then going older, she'd then realise that actually I prefer women. And again, navigating all of that, and how she kind of feels like it was a disease for a long time, how she felt really wrong because of it all, and then learning to try and accept it. Alongside all of this, you have her fascination around death. She has somebody that she loved from afar at a young age, so didn't fully understand all the feelings, but then the girl passed away, and so she's dealing with death at a very young age, and you're seeing how she's dealt with that. There is a lot of talk about obviously death in this book, and also a sexual assault that happens, although it is off the page the way it's handled. It's implied at what's going to happen, but it is off the page, it's not explicit in any way. But yeah, it's a really interesting book. Is this a book that I would reread at the moment? No. But it's a book that I'm really pleased that I am reading, and it's a bit of an insight into a different culture, and yeah, I'm finding it really easy to read. The part that we're up to, we have Cho Nori, who is going to Pride in Tokyo and just saying how she wishes that the world was like this, that it's the one day where they can pretend that the world is really accepting, but she knows it's all a lie. And so this whole book is a bit dreary and depressing because of all the talking about death, the depressing view and outlook on life. At the same time, it's reality, like everyone's gonna die. It's the only certainty you've got in life. So for me, I don't mind it in this book at all. I find it really interesting, actually, her concept and how the authors that she really likes, she's someone that loves authors, like books. She's a bookworm, certified a bookworm in this. And she talks about the different authors that she really likes and how their works focus a lot on death. I think it's a really poignant read with really dark topic, but I'm enjoying it, and it's super quick to read. So I'm already halfway through and I have not read for long. This is flying through that. So I think what I'm going to do next is have a shower, and then I'm going to probably go back to Vicious for a little while and then read more of Solo Darts. I would really love to get both of these finished up this evening. I think it's a possibility because I don't plan on sleeping. What's the time, actually? It is 23 past 7 as I'm doing this update. By the time I've showered and stuff, I've got back to reading, I'll probably still have another 2-3 hours worth of reading, so I could definitely finish at least one of these today, and then tomorrow attempt to finish the other one. I think that's a good plan because tomorrow my day has just got really busy, so I really don't think I'm going to get much reading in, but I'm really pleased that I've at least had this afternoon to get some reading in. So I think my goal of reading for like 16 hours isn't going to happen. I think we'll be lucky if we get to 8. We're going to try and see how it goes, and at the end of the day, even if I just get this lot read and started Sinister Spring, that's still a really good amount read, so that's fine. Right, the dogs are starting to bark, so that's my cue to stop talking and go have a shower, and I'll catch up with you in a couple of hours. Morning. I never got round to updating last night. I was too tired at that point and I just could not face getting in front of the camera. I will update you now before I start reading for the day. It is 10:30, well, okay, a little bit after 10:30. So I feel like it's a good time to tell you where I got to and hopefully what my reading plans are for today. So yesterday I ended up reading for a total of 5 hours and 19 minutes, which isn't that bad, to be honest. I'm quite pleased with that. And in that time, I did finish Vicious. I really enjoyed my reread of this. I like how it explores the morality of people, questions of what is right and wrong, and I enjoyed all of it. It was very good. Like, what's a villain, what's a hero? It's very good. I did end up adding in extra tabs, like I said. I decided to go for a light blue, and that was for faith and justification, which Eli definitely uses his faith to justify what he is doing. It's all a bit diluted, but you can see his thinking behind it all, but it's definitely one that you don't agree with. But yeah, I enjoyed this. It ended up being that the end of the book really didn't get as many tabs, but I was fine with that. I think we had already established a lot of what happened, references to Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at the start, so it wasn't necessary to keep going and like using that reference. And also because of the swap in perspectives, you don't get the jealousy as much, so obviously that tab slowed down, and then the lighter blue tab picked up as we went into Eli's perspective. I had a really fun time rereading this one. It does make me want to pick up Vengeful, and I didn't enjoy Vengeful as much as Vicious, but it does make me want to pick it up, reread it, see if I'd prefer it this time round, and we are going to be getting a third book. I'm not sure when, but it has been confirmed we will be getting a third book, and I'm very excited. So eventually I will reread Vengeful as well. But yeah, this was really good. I really enjoyed my time with it. It reminds me that this is why I like this book. Like, I've always enjoyed Vicious, but because I've finally done a reread, I now know that yes, I 100% enjoy Vicious. Like, it may not be my best favourite book ever, but it's definitely a book that I enjoy. And it has also got me questioning about like dark academia. What is dark academia? Because technically there are points to this that would class this as dark academia, but I think we'll save that for my dark academia video, which will be coming in the next few months. I didn't read any more of Solo Dance. I do hopefully plan on reading this today. It's an easy enough read that fingers crossed I should get this done. Definitely shouldn't take me long, hopefully like an hour and a half maybe. Fingers crossed we can get that done. But the other book I did make a little bit of progress with is Sinister Spring. So before I was going to bed, I think I was like 10:30 and I was laying in bed, and I decided that actually I'd finished Vicious and I couldn't decide if I wanted to pick up Solo Dance or not, and I decided, you know what, actually I fancy just some really easy short stories. Solo Dance is easy to read, but it's a very heavy topic. This is just a bit more like cozy fun times to me. So I'm now up to page 69. I've read the first, is it 3 or 4 short stories? I think it's 4. Yeah, 4 short stories, although one of them, The Herb of Death, I had already read because that was in a short story collection, The Tuesday Club Murders, which is a short story collection of Miss Marple's short stories. So I'd already read that one, so I didn't really read that one properly. I kind of flicked through it because I already knew that one, and it wasn't that long ago that I've read that collection. But I did read The Case of the Missing Lady and How Does Your Garden Grow. The Case of the Missing Lady was an introduction to Tommy and Tuppence for me. I've not read any books involving those two as characters, and I really enjoyed it. It was definitely the most fun one because Tommy and Tuppence have such good banter between them. So they're a married couple and they have this detective agency, and they are just funny. Like, they're absolutely hilarious, and I love the way they bounce off one another. At the start of this, we have Tommy pretending to be Sherlock Holmes, like he's trying to be as if he was Sherlock Holmes, which I found hilarious and I really enjoyed, obviously because I love Sherlock Holmes, so that was great. A very short story, but it was funny and silly and exactly what I needed. And then the last one that I was reading was a good story. It was definitely the longest that I've read out of this collection so far, and it was again Hercule Poirot, which I know I say his name wrong every time. I am so sorry. I've even been taught how to say it and I still get it wrong. He gets approached because of somebody that turns up dead and he has to try and work out what's going on. I liked it. I think at this point I was so tired that I was literally like starting to fall asleep towards the end of it because I just could not keep my eyes open anymore. But yeah, it was fine. But I think my favourite one that I've read so far is the Tommy and Tuppence one, just because it was so funny and light-hearted. So I'd love to read some more of this. I might start off with another short story. We've got Swan Song, so I might read that one. They're not long. I'll get that done and then jump into Solo Dance. So that's my plan for today. However, I do have a bit of a busy day because I've got my sister coming over in the afternoon. She said she'll get here for about 1ish and we're going to have dinner and that together. So I don't know how much reading I'm actually going to get done with her being here. As I said to you, it is 10:30. Okay, alright, it's now 11:15. Hopefully between now and the time that she arrives, if I can get Solo Dance done, then I can just pick up the Sinister Spring every so often and I will wrap up this vlog later this evening. That's the plan. We're gonna see how much more reading done I can get in. I honestly think I will be lucky if I hit 8 hours worth of reading today, and the extra 3 hours on top of the 5 hours I've already done. So trying to do this for 24 hours is not happening because I've just been so much more busier than normal, but I'm enjoying this and tracking it to see how much reading gets done in that time. Like the fact that I've finished a book, halfway through another book, read some short stories and finished the children's book, and only in 5 hours, it really shows me how much reading I can get done. So I'm enjoying it for this. Anyway, I'm rambling. I don't really have time to ramble. I need to get on and start reading. That's what we're gonna do. and I'll catch up with you a bit later. I feel like this video is so chaotic because normally I have these readathons set aside, so I have the one day where I really don't do much. I might pop out to a coffee shop and read there for a little bit, but otherwise that's it. I'm in my room, I'm reading, and I stay here for the whole day, and that's what it ends up being. But this time there has been so much going on that it feels chaotic to me, even though I am still getting a good amount read. So I don't know whether that translates for you or whether you just think I'm weird. I'm still rambling. Let's go. It's now been a couple of hours and I haven't really read much. We're almost at 2 o'clock and I haven't read a lot. I've only read for an extra hour. A lot of this morning was me spent trying to read for a bit and then just napping because my headache was really, really bad and I really needed it. I feel so much better. The headache's gone. I feel so rested. So I obviously really needed the extra nap. But yeah, it has meant I haven't read a lot. But I have come to a couple of decisions about the books. So Solo Dance, I've read a bit more. I'm now up to page 152 and we're now at some journal entries. So this book, as I said, has multiple timelines. Part of it is her looking back on her life and the things that she's been through, and we're up to a part where she was going to therapy and how they suggested writing in a diary to help her with all the experiences that she's been through and to help like express herself, which I always recommend actually. I really enjoy journaling. I think for me, like, I'm liking this book. The topics it's talking about is so important, 100%, but for me, I wouldn't ever reread this, and so I kind of get into a point where I then don't want to continue reading it. I would rather switch up and read something that I think could be more interesting for me, because I know that the likelihood of me unhauling this is rather high. Not because I've not enjoyed it, not because it's not a good book, but just because I would never reread this one, and that is the problem with me in contemporary books. It's why I don't read a lot of them, to be honest, because I've tried, but it's definitely a genre that I will not keep the books, apart from, I think there's been 2 out of all the contemporary books I've read that I have kept, and those are because they hit me emotionally. And something like this, I can appreciate how important this book is, and I can get that some people are going to read this and feel so connected and so seen because of everything our main character is going through, and so for them it's going to be a really impactful book. But for me, I'm not having that connection to it, and so I wouldn't reread it. And so part of me is a bit like, I can carry on till the end, but I know it's not going to change the way I feel about this book. And so when that happens, that's when I'm more inclined to DNF, and not because it's bad, because again, DNFs kind of fall into 2 categories for me. You either have DNFs where I'm like, oh, I'm really not enjoying this book, that's it, I'm done, you know, I don't like the writing, or there's something about it which I really don't like. Or I have DNFs like this where I'm like, there is nothing wrong with this book, but it's not capturing my engagement in it. And so as much as I can push through and finish this, do I want to, or would I rather spend that time focusing on a book which I'm enjoying more? That's kind of where I'm at for that. So, but I feel in 2 minds about it, because I still kind of want to finish this one. I think I just don't want to finish it all today. What will probably happen is I will get this finished over the next couple of days and by the end of June, so that I can finish it out, because I do think it's worth it. But I think for this readathon, I'm going to put it down for now. Again, I could change my mind and pick it back up because it's such an easy, quick read. I don't need to put a lot of thought into it, but it's very heavy topics, it's very depressing, and right now I'm wanting something a lot more light and fun. So I have read some more of Agatha Christie's Sinister Spring. I've read, did I read 2 stories? I feel like I've read 2. Yeah, I started off reading Swan Song, and then I picked up Solo Dance for a little bit, and then I've picked up Miss Marple Tells a Story, which is the one I've just read. And I've enjoyed both of these. Swan Song was its own little mystery. It didn't include Tommy and Tuppence or Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple. It didn't include any of our detectives, but it was a really good little short story. I really enjoyed it. And then this last one, Miss Marple Tells a Story, was just Miss Marple literally telling us a story about a case that she helped to solve when they came to her with all the problems. And I kind of like Miss Marple for that. She's not one that's going to get stuck in the action. She is one that people come to with these stories, and then she's able to, through the fact that she's been alive for a while and has seen so many things happen in her little village, use those life experiences to solve the mystery. And I really like it. It's really nice and cute, but I am really feeling this right now, so I think I'm going to carry on with this one. 6 short stories left to go. I am halfway through, so I would really love to get this one finished. My sister hasn't turned up yet. I'm expecting her any point now, so I also think this is a good one to do because of the fact they are short stories, so I can literally just spend like 15-20 minutes here and there, quickly pick this up, get through a short story. So that's going to be the plan. I think we're going to swap to this. If I get time, I may pick this up, but it's no longer a priority. We've been rambling for the last 6 minutes. I hope this all made sense. It's basically me going, I'm going to put this one down and we're going to carry on with this one for a little bit. I think the next update probably will be me just finishing up this video, because because I expect my sister to be arriving any point soon, and we'll have my nephew, so it's going to be a loud time. Could end up being a lot sooner, who knows. Anyway, right, okay, stop the ramble. Let's go read and we'll see how much we get done, and I'll check in with you at the end of the day. Good evening, it is almost 9 o'clock and it's time to wrap up this readathon. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a bit of a different one, and honestly I can say I prefer my readathons where I do turn around and have a dedicated day for reading and say to people, no, I'm not doing things, I am just going to rest and relax and read today. Because of the way things went, it meant I couldn't do that this time. I think it just proves to me how important I have come to value that once every other month I take that time for me, and I've missed it this time. I've still got a good chunk read, so after timing it worked out that I've read for 8 hours and 6 minutes, which was really good, and I've got quite a good chunk read. I'm really pleased with the amount that I've got read. I've just missed the more rest and relaxation for a whole day instead of just having snippets of time here and there. So it's just kind of put into perspective and reminded me how important it is, and why a lot of this readathon, every time I talk about it and do the announcement videos of it, I do say to people, even if you don't want to read the whole time, just take that bit of time for yourself, because I think it is so important to do that. Thinking actually next month in July I might do a separate day just to relax and read, to make up for the fact that I couldn't do it for this readathon. We'll see. I'm literally just thinking of loads of random ideas of what I may or may not do, but we don't need that tangent. Instead, let's talk about all the books that I've read, because I did get a good chunk done. So as we know, I started off with reading Meet Angelina, Ballerina, and this was such a nice blast from the past for me. I loved these books growing up. Like, I used to be obsessed with Angelina, Ballerina, so it was really nice to go back into that childhood nostalgia and just really enjoy it. The artwork is phenomenal, and I can actually see how much that this artwork has influenced the things that I like today. Seeing where that all came from was really lovely. Being obsessed with the ballet, like I've always been obsessed with it, I've always wanted to go and see it, and this again just kind of shows where that's all come from such a young age. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. Very quick, very simple, but a lot of fun. We get into all the other books. So I then finished Vicious, my reread of Vicious, which I was really pleased for. As we know, this was in place of reading, continuing a series. Instead, I changed it slightly to continuing a book I'm already in the middle of, and I did enjoy this. I did end up going with more tabs, which I think I've already said actually in this update. Not this update, but the one previous. Pretty sure I've said that one, but it was good and I've really enjoyed my reread. It ended up being so much more entertaining than I thought it would be. It's a book that I've been wanting to reread on and off for ages, but just never got round to doing. So I'm really pleased that I've finally done a good reread of this and been able to tab it and just enjoy that. So that was really good. Solo Dance I haven't read any more since I last updated, so I'm still on page 152. And I am in two minds about whether I'm going to continue this book for the rest of the month of June. I probably will if I have a spare evening where I'm not in the middle of reading anything and I don't know what I want to pick up next, then this will be a good one to read for that. As I've been saying, it is quite heavy topic. I don't mind that in books. I think it's really important to explore it in books, and I'm liking the way that this has been explored in this book. I think it's really interesting, really compelling. Like I say, it's an easy read. I'm also not 100% connected, so I know if I have this book or another book that I'm interested in that I know is going to be higher enjoyment value, I'm going to prioritize that than finishing this. But I'm still really pleased that I finally got around to it. I've had this on my TBR for at least a year now, and I've had it on so many TBRs, for like monthly TBRs, it's ridiculous. So I'm really pleased I'm finally get into this and getting through it. Maybe at the end, and you'll see it in my June wrap up, that I finished it, but no 100% guarantees, but still, like I say, I'm glad I've read it. It was a very important story. Finally, I finished Sinister Spring. I'm actually really surprised I got this finished. I wasn't sure if I would or not. I managed to squeeze it in, especially because my nephew is obsessed with Elsa from Frozen. So he's just spent the last bit of time rewatching Frozen for like, I don't know, maybe like the 20th time by now. So it was quite nice. My sister had her Kindle out and I was finishing up this. It was really, really nice actually. So that is this done. And I've enjoyed the last few stories. There was one more in here that I've already read, which again was from the Tuesday Club Murders, which was the Miss Marple short story collection. I did kind of expect that when I was first picking up this book and saw that on the back it has short stories from the Miss Marple collection, because obviously I've read them. And there was one new one which I liked, but the rest of them I did read, but again, there was only 2 out of the 12, which is not bad at all. And I really enjoyed meeting Tommy and Tuppence. I think theirs was my favourite short story out of the whole collection, and it was a shame we only got them once. I would really like to see them again. There are more seasonal collections of these. There is one for summer, autumn and winter. I would definitely like to get the rest of them. 1, to finish a collection, and 2, just to see more of the short story collections that are going in. And I really do like these hardcover editions. I think they look gorgeous. Yeah, I'm really pleased I finally got another Agatha Christie read as well. It was a goal of mine to read 6 of her books this year, and this is only the second one that I've read, and we're already halfway through the year. So I'm not doing the best with that goal, but it was really lovely to read. And again, it worked perfectly for today for me to be able just to get snippets of reading done in between doing other things. So that was really good actually. So overall, this readathon, while it might not have been the most relaxing, restful, having a day to rest and read as I would prefer, I actually did get quite a good chunk read, and I'm really pleased with it. I think it works out as like 560-ish pages, which is pretty good. I'm really, really pleased with that. This may not have been exactly the way I wanted it to go, but it still worked out well. I still got a few books off my TBR, which I'm really pleased with, and started a book that I've been putting off for such a long time. So all of this has been a win in reality. I hope that if you took part that yours went well, or at least you just remember to take a little bit of time for yourself and not feel bad about it. Anyway, that's me done philosophizing at you. That's not the right word. Can't pronounce that word this evening. I'm a bit too tired for that, but that's enough of me preaching. Is it preaching? I don't know. Insert word here. We're done. Clearly tired Kirsten is fighting her way out, and we don't need the rambles. So I'm going to end it here. So thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, then let's leave a little clock emoji, and thank you once again for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it that thumbs up, subscribe and comment. Those 3 things are really important to helping this channel grow. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.